The alarm rings. You check your phone. You make your coffee. In those exact 5 minutes, massive financial institutions have already placed you on a hedonic treadmill. The financial finish line is explicitly designed to move 2 steps away from you every single day. You have not even left your house, yet your attention, your data, and your future income have just been silently harvested by corporate algorithms. Society obsesses over the perfect morning routine. We are constantly told that if we wake up at 5 a.m., optimize our schedule, and hustle harder than the next guy, we will inevitably become wealthy. This is a massive, highly profitable lie. Big tech and Wall Street banks do not want you to be wealthy. They want you to be predictable. A normal routine guarantees a normal life. And in today's economy, a normal life means dying broke. The financial window to break out of this algorithmic trap is closing today. With the rapid digitization of every transaction, the system is perfecting its extraction models at lightning speed. If you click away from this video and choose to follow your normal routine tomorrow morning, you are voluntarily signing a contract to remain in the middle class forever. The cost of ignoring this is your absolute financial freedom. But if you stay, I will hand you the exact psychological architecture the 1% uses to protect their capital, ignore the consumer matrix, and build generational equity. This is the financial blueprint institutions desperately want to keep hidden from the working class. How algorithms monetize your routine. To understand how your innocent daily routine keeps you broke, you must stop looking at your habits as personal choices. In the modern economy, your habits are corporate assets. Every notification you check before breakfast is an unpaid job you do for a tech giant. You are not consuming content. You are the product being consumed. When you scroll through your social feed in the morning, algorithms are engineering a deep sense of financial inadequacy in your brain. Modern capitalism is a professional at 2 things: generating wealth and generating envy. When you absorb the synthetic lifestyles of the internet during your morning routine, your ambition to make money is instantly outpaced by your subconscious desire to spend it. 1 step forward pushes the goalpost 2 steps ahead. You constantly feel like you are falling behind. So you spend money you do not have to buy things you do not need to impress people who do not care about you. Wall Street monetizes this exact feeling of envy. They do not need to hack your bank account. They simply offer you the premium credit card. They finance your luxury car loan. They package your massive mortgage. They program your daily routine to ensure you willingly hand over your capital by the end of the month. This is the invisible tax on your free time. Look at how the middle class evolved to fall into this trap. If you go back to the 1950s, the economy grew and the standard of living leveled out. The rich drove Chevys and the working class drove Chevys. But starting in the 1980s, wealth concentrated at the top, yet the middle class kept the exact same social expectations. Bank manager making $80,000 a year sees an investment banker making $900,000 and feels a subconscious entitlement to live a similar lifestyle. So what does the bank manager do? He takes out a massive mortgage. He leases 2 cars. He buries himself in consumer debt just to stretch his lifestyle to match an illusion. The system relies on you waking up every morning and participating in this exact cycle of comparison. It is a silent extraction of your future wealth, funded entirely by your desire to follow a normal routine. Corporate productivity illusion. To escape this extraction, we must expose the middle-class obsession with productivity. You read books on how to manage your time. You download applications to track your daily habits. You optimize your morning to squeeze more work into your day. But you never stop to ask the most important financial question in the world. Who actually owns the output of your productivity? If your name is not on the equity of the business, your productivity is just increasing the wealth of your boss. You are not building an empire. You are simply optimizing yourself to become a highly efficient, perfectly obedient employee. Society has conditioned us to glorify hard physical work and endless hustle. We view exhaustion as a badge of honor. But in the modern economy, brute effort and sweat are the metrics of modern slaves. Your true capacity to build wealth does not depend on how many hours you stay awake or how fast you run on the corporate hamster wheel. It depends entirely on the precision of your financial judgment. Look at John D. Rockefeller, one of the most successful businessmen in history. Rockefeller was a recluse who spent most of his time alone. A refinery worker once noted that Rockefeller would let everyone else talk while he sat in absolute silence. His job was not to drill wells or move barrels. His job was to think and make good decisions. The product he delivered was what he figured out inside his head. He understood that high-level wealth is generated through sharp judgment, not manual labor. When you follow a heavily optimized, productive morning routine, you are usually just rushing to get into the hamster wheel faster. You exhaust your mind executing tasks for a corporation. By the time you get home, your decision-making battery is empty. You are too tired to build your own assets. You have traded your most valuable resource, your time, for a fixed paycheck that is silently devalued by inflation. You are perfectly productive, and you are perfectly trapped. Why normal habits guarantee poverty. Normal habits lead to normal financial results, and you must understand what normal actually looks like today. Normal is living paycheck to paycheck. Normal is drowning in consumer debt. Normal is relying on a single corporate salary to survive. The educational system sold you the ultimate illusion of safe survival. They told you that getting a degree, finding a safe corporate job, and following the rules was the guaranteed path to security. The dark truth is that depending on a single corporate paycheck is the riskiest financial strategy on earth. One layoff, one economic downturn, or one corporate restructuring, and you are completely bankrupt in 30 days. Normal financial routine is a mathematical scam. You are told to save 10% of a stagnant salary, cancel your morning coffee, and invest in mutual funds, hoping to somehow be a millionaire when you are 65 years old. This is the slow lane trap. It is a strategy explicitly designed to let commercial banks use your liquidity to fund their massive leveraged bets, while you live your best years in artificial scarcity. It is the wheelchair paradox. You are sacrificing your youth and your biological energy to buy your financial freedom at the exact moment when you will be too old, too fragile, or too sick to actually enjoy it. Furthermore, doing what everyone else does ignores the reality that financial success is a soft skill, not a hard science. Look at the story of Ronald Read and Richard Fuscone. Fuscone was a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive who had everything: the education, the connections, the high-status routine. Read was a janitor and gas station attendant who swept floors at JCPenney. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Fuscone, the brilliant executive who borrowed heavily to expand an 18,000-square-foot mansion, went completely bankrupt. Ronald Read, the janitor who quietly bought blue-chip stocks and waited for decades, died with a net worth of over $8 million. Ronald Read was patient. Richard Fuscone was greedy. The janitor massively outperformed the Harvard executive because wealth has very little to do with your formal intellect and everything to do with your behavior. Normal habits, like borrowing to show off your status, guarantee you will die broke. You cannot save your way out of a rigged game, escaping the predictable consumer matrix. To build true wealth, you must commit a radical act of rebellion. You must completely destroy your normal routine. You must become unpredictable to the algorithm. The first step is severing the connection between your morning and the corporate matrix. When you wake up, your time must belong exclusively to you. You do not check email. You do not look at the news. You do not consume any media that triggers the moving goalpost disease. The elite understand the tyranny of non-ownership. If your name is not on the title of a business, an asset, or a piece of intellectual property, you will never be truly free. You are just renting your brain to build someone else's property. Therefore, the first hour of your day must be ruthlessly dedicated to building your own leverage. Old forms of leverage required massive capital or human labor. You had to borrow millions from a bank or hire hundreds of employees. But modern leverage is ruthless because it has zero marginal cost and requires absolutely no one's permission. Code and media, software and content. These are armies of invisible soldiers that work for you while you sleep. They do not complain, they do not ask for raises, and they do not clock out at 5 p.m. You must use your morning routine to command these soldiers. Whether you are writing a piece of software, recording a video, or building a digital product, you are creating equity. You stop being a passive consumer of the internet, and you start being an active architect of the system. You must also redefine what wealth actually is. We tend to judge wealth by what we see: the luxury cars, the massive homes, the Instagram photos. But capitalism makes helping people fake it until they make it a cherished industry. The truth is that wealth is what you do not see. Wealth is the luxury cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought. Wealth is the financial assets that have not yet been converted into the physical stuff you see. When you understand this, your routine changes. You stop spending your money to show people how much money you have, which is the fastest way to have less money, and you start hoarding assets in silence. You realize that the highest dividend money pays is the ability to wake up every morning and say, "I can do whatever I want today." The 1% wealth psychology framework. The 1% do not follow the corporate script. Their routine is entirely focused on protecting their mental space to make life-changing decisions. The masses believe that to make more money, they must work harder and longer. They equate stress with success. The elite know that real wealth is generated through sharp judgment, and sharp judgment requires isolation, blank space, and deep thinking. You cannot make $1 million financial decision when your mind is cluttered with cheap notifications and corporate anxiety. You must stop playing the status game. The status game is a primitive zero-sum trap where you buy luxury items to prove your worth, destroying your capital in the process. For you to win the status game, someone else has to lose. Wealth creation is a positive-sum game. While the middle class goes into massive debt to look rich, the 1% lives quietly, ignores the noise, and creates equity in absolute silence. They also engineer a massive margin of safety into their lives. In blackjack, a card counter knows they're playing a game of probabilities, not certainties. They never bet all their chips on a single hand, no matter how good the odds look. The same applies to your money and your daily routine. You must leave room for error. A high savings rate and a quiet lifestyle give you the flexibility to survive the unpredictable economic crashes that wipe out the people living paycheck to paycheck. Poverty is running someone else's script. Poverty is waking up and letting a corporation dictate your value, your schedule, and your desires. Wealth is writing your own code. Wealth is refusing to play the synthetic status game and choosing to own your time instead. You have a choice to make tomorrow morning. You can wake up, check your phone, and willingly hand over your finite biological time to Wall Street. You can continue to be a perfectly obedient, perfectly predictable consumer. Or you can wake up, protect your focus, reject the algorithm, and start building your own empire. The system was designed to harvest your time. It is time for you to harvest your equity. Hit the subscribe button as your declaration of independence. Master your mind. Build your system. See you in the next protocol.